Guys, it's me, Kara. Thank you so much for tuning in. Guys, it's the eve of the eve. Can you imagine we're actually down to the very last couple of days of 2019? So it's been a really interesting year. Amazingly interesting, amazingly crazy. 2019 was a year filled with blessings, but also really tough challenges, guys. For one, I lost a student. One of my students got killed. That was a very sore point for me in the year. It was very hard trying to just do my job and pacify my kids. And, I had a lot of acquaintances that passed as well. So that made it very rough. But I also had a lot of amazing things happen. And so to keep this video really positive, I decided I was going to share my jar of 2019 with you. So at the beginning of the year, I saw this somewhere on Facebook where you're going to get a jar and you can use any container you want. This is just all I used. And every week you're going to write on a little piece of paper something positive. And I wanted to try it. I wanted to try it and see how that would shape my mind and how that would give me a different perspective. And I really enjoyed doing this. The most surprising thing for me is that there were times I actually had to really think about something positive, something that happened that week that was positive. And I don't know why this is so. Maybe because sometimes as humans, we're so set on the things that didn't happen or things that could have been and not just look at things in the moment. So it was very eye-opening for me that I had to put so much thought into it sometimes. What happened this week that was so positive? And but I'm gonna try this again for 2020 and just to kind of look back and see what amazing things happened. So I'm just gonna get right into it. I'll rest this on my lap because I don't have a little table. But first one, a student paid for my Starbucks order when I went through the drive-through. She's actually in my first period, and one day I was on my way to work and I saw her and she saw me behind her and she actually paid for my drink. So that was very nice of her. She didn't get extra credit though, obviously. But I made sure I told her mom that she did something really nice for me that me and her mom was so surprised. So it was nice to let the mom know so she knows what kind of kid she has. My mother got back into singing. So my mom was part of this Christmas production this year. That's back in Grenada. My mom, since she was young, always, she's a singer. Okay, she was like choir mistress at one time in high school. And she has an amazing voice. Going way back to her teen years, she actually has recordings and she was on the radio and all that stuff. So it was really, this is not something for me personally, but it was really nice to know that she was back in living her passion. And so she was happy and that made me happy. Then, some of these are really long, but I met up with past co-workers who are now friends to celebrate our birthdays. So on my past campus, 4 of us were actually born in November. So this year we decided to meet up and we invited everyone in the department to have lunch with us. And it was really nice to catch up because we were all at different places. And so it was just really nice to catch up with everyone. Ebony was promoted to a higher class. So Ebony will be 3 on January 7th. Okay. Yes, 3 already. And so she's doing really well. She started preschool this past August. And, sometimes she's really naughty, but for the most part, she's a very good kid. I haven't really seen the terrible twos, but she has been making really good progress in school. And, it's just really nice for me to be able to say that because I was so worried about the whole terrible twos. And I think I just set myself up. But it's nice when the teachers actually give you some kind of happy gram saying that your kid is doing really well and they have adjusted really well. And so I'm really proud that she's doing what she's supposed to do. So hopefully that remains a thing. But I know, kids change. what? Oh, I had a personal chef. For whatever reason, that word wasn't spelled out correctly, but I put CHE. I guess it was just, my mind was elsewhere. But I had a personal chef come in. One of my friends sent a personal chef to my house. So me and Ron, and we had a dinner. He made like a 5-course meal. And it was with no strings attached, you know. So this friend was just a really good friend for sending a personal chef my way. And the food was very, very tasty as well. Some of these I'm not going to talk about too much. I was recommended twice in one semester for new teacher observations. So I'm actually a veteran teacher. I've been teaching for 14 years. And at this point, you know, like when you've been teaching for over 10 years, you're really considered a veteran teacher. So the people who are now coming into teaching, they get to, you know, part of their practicum is to go observe teachers. So I was recommended twice. And, you know, in the teaching community, if you're an educator, that is like a really big, you know, a really big deal. So I was really happy to have those teachers come in to look at my classroom management and how I differentiate lessons and things like that. I teach chemistry, by the way, if you're new to my channel. My husband booked a full spa treatment for my birthday. You know, I was really surprised by that. Ron actually went way out, got me a spa treatment. I got a facial, I got the pedicure, I got the massage, I got everything. And it was kind of pricey in my opinion, but to him it was nothing. It was worth every penny. So I was really, really grateful for that because I was going through a rough time again, given the situation with my students, and he wanted to do something nice for me. I quit my job. I did. I actually resigned at the end, not at the end, sorry, before the end of the academic year last year. So the academic year of 2019. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was looking at different options. I was looking at going back to school. I was looking at going to work in the hospital. I was just looking at different options. And so I'm back in the classroom because an opportunity presented itself. And I felt like it was a career move to accept the position at a new district. And it's really a good place. It's really a good place. But I actually did resign my position from teaching for a number of reasons. There were some frustrations there. Not what I wanted to do, but I felt like it was the best thing to do at the time. So Ebony said, one other thing that was good. Ebony said, I don't know, in defense of herself. She took a position. Ebony has a very strong personality. And so I can't remember what we were talking about, but I was so surprised that she said, I don't know. I don't know, Mama. And she just stuck with that story and she was not saying it. I think the reason why I put it in there, I was so surprised that Ebony was able to make this kind of, take that position and make a full statement like that. My club, so I sponsor a group of students, the African Students Organization, delivered handmade Christmas cards to the children's hospitals, or one of the children's hospitals, and that was just a really nice thing. They came up with the idea and they had those delivered, and that was a really nice thing for them to do. I was selected to attend CAS. I had to write this thing about why I should be selected, and so I was selected, and it was really nice. CAS is like a big science conference in Texas, and it's on a scholarship basis, so I was able to attend for 3 days. I do not struggle with anxiety as I used to, and so if you have been following my channel, you know where my story and how my story came about and what I've been doing to keep that at bay. I gained weight, and that is not a bad thing. You know, I'm into bodybuilding or just maintaining muscle. But despite the crazy year, I actually gained some good weight, put on a little bit of muscle, and that was the goal from the very beginning of the year, so I was really happy about that. Ron paid off one of his vehicles, and that was in 2 years. The reason why I put that in there and why it's such an accomplishment, he has a few vehicles. That's all I'm going to say. A student that was transferring thanked me for being a part of her future and her education. It was really nice. It was so sad that she was leaving. One of the best students I've ever had, but because of circumstances, she had to leave, and she actually wrote me a thank you letter. So that touched me. Ebony had her first shaved ice or snow cone from Bahama Buck, and you know, they put a little umbrella and whatever on top, and so that was like a big deal for her. I had to stop the recording and tend to Ebony for a second, but continuing really quick because I have like 52 of these. So yes, I resigned my position. I talked about that. I don't know why that is repeating. Maybe next time I should keep a track of the things I already wrote down so that doesn't happen. I reached my goal weight of 145 pounds. So I remember distinctly at that specific week when I went on the scale, it said 145.2, and I was so elated because for me, that was an accomplishment, especially after having breastfeed Ebony for 2 years, y'all, 2 years. So 145 was an accomplishment, and at this point in time, I'm about 147. My brother became a father, so I'm an aunt. He became a father. There's a 10-year difference between me and my brother, so that was like a big deal. And Ebony has a little cousin, so it's kind of it's exciting times, but I'm happy for him. Being a parent is one of the most selfless things you can do, and hopefully with that, he learns a lot on the way. That's all I'm gonna say. My mom visited in October, and it's always a pleasure to have my mom here. When she's here, we have a good time, we catch up. She helps me a lot, like around the house with the cleaning and the cooking and whatever, so it's less of a workload for me, and it's my mom, so it's just always a good thing to have her here. Ebony excelled at her shapes, her colors, and her numbers. So again, remember, these are things happening on the weekly, like one good thing that happened that week. So I remembered when I was going over her work with her, I was showing her certain things, and she was on a roll, and I felt so proud. I guess, being a teacher as well, I want my kid to do well, so I was really happy about her progress. Let's see. Ron launched his business back in March, so I was really proud of him for even taking that step, because he invested a lot in his business, and it took a lot of effort, as with any business, because I'm a small business owner as well. You're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna have really low lows, and then you're gonna have really high highs. So I just felt proud of the fact that he actually started his business. Ebony started preschool. What else there is to say about that? She started preschool. Let's see. Me and Ron took a trip to Barbados. So we went to the Caribbean, we went to Grenada, then we left Ebony with my parents, and then we just took a little bit of time to ourselves, and it was quite the adventure. We weren't sheltered in the tourist areas. I've been to Barbados so many times, and I knew a little bit about the island, so it was nice to just kind of get into the mix and be like the locals. When you're in Rome, you do like the Romans do, so it was really nice to have that time. We visited Grenada. That was the other thing, because I went first. I went like 3 weeks before him, and then he came down to the Caribbean. I went one day without a migraine, and you're probably wondering why this is such a big deal, but if you look back at my videos, I had migraines all the time, sometimes every day of the week, and I remember not having a migraine. It was such a big thing. And honestly, guys, I don't struggle with migraines anymore. I don't. Knock on wood, I don't. I successfully flipped my first lesson. So the campus where I'm at, they're very big on technology and flipped lessons, and I didn't think I was cut out for this kind of thing. Not that it had anything to do with the technology. I'm just a little bit more of a traditional type of teacher. I like being on the board, showing the kids what to do on the overhead and all that. I'm very hands-on. But needless to say, I flipped my first lesson. I kept an open mind, and that worked really well. And the kids were able to go back and see some of the things we talked about that very day. So I'll definitely be doing that in all of 2020. I had a brief conversation with my grandmother. I called her. She has dementia, and when I went to Grenada, it was very shocking to see her, and just what my mom had to deal with, and just everything that was going on. It was just a shocking thing, knowing how she was and where she's at. And then one day, just out of the blue, I was at work, and I'm like, I'm gonna call my grandmother, and I called her, and she was She recognized me. We had a conversation. She asked me about Abney, and I was so shocked. And you know, people who have dealt with family members who are demented told me that this is a usual thing. They would go in and out of these periods where they are aware of everything and they know what's going on, and then there are times when you're just not going to be as collected. So anyway, for me, it was a blessing. I don't know if I'll get through all of these, but I was chosen to be an SCL trained teacher. So SCL is social emotional learning and learner. And so that is dear to my heart because, you know, I did struggle with anxiety, and I know I have a lot of students, especially in this times, guys. It's very hard for kids now. But I just wanted to be that teacher who can do a little bit extra. So I was chosen to go to the training, and now I can bring back to my department and help them be more prepared to serve our kids on the social emotional level. I was hired in a sought after position at a sought after district. It was very competitive, the most competitive interview. As I said, I resigned my position in one district. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And then this opportunity came up, and it was really highly sought after, but I was so determined to get in. I wanted to get the job. I really wanted to be there. And needless to say, the efforts paid off. I had to study that place, like literally make notes and study that place to make sure I was really prepared for that interview, the most intense interview ever. I got a secret buddy at work, and that was kind of fun. She was fun. We had so much in common. Of course, I know who she is now, but it was so much fun to have a secret buddy and just to get to know someone at that campus. I became a sponsor of the African Students Organization, so I didn't invite myself. The kids actually came to me and asked me if I would sponsor them, and that was because I was recommended by someone else at the campus. I didn't have to do telepath training. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but I'm so happy I didn't have to do that because I did it last year and I was able to waive that this year. Ron opened his online shop, his online store officially. That ties into his business. Let's see. I got free flour tortillas at Rosa's cafe. I just went there for something one day, and they actually gave me like 12 tortillas for free for whatever reason. They just had extra, and I got extra, and I wasn't complaining. It's Rosa's, and I love Rosa's cafe. Ron was also thinking about starting a second business, so that was a good thing that happened this week, because I feel like, okay, he was actually going to use his talent and, you know, get things going with multiple businesses, and I was behind him 100%. Ebony said thank you in her sweet little way. I remembered sharing some video on Instagram, and Ebony was just being so nice and so polite, and she said thank you, mommy. So that was really nice because it really it showed me that she was becoming more aware of the do's and don'ts. And when I gave her something, she said thank you, mommy. She put on her socks correctly all by herself. You know, she's very independent. She doesn't want your help with anything, and it was just really nice to see her spend a solid 20 minutes trying to dress herself, including putting on her socks and putting on her shoes. That is okay, because I feel like kids have to struggle through some things sometimes, and it was good for her. The district provided a medical clinic with service at affordable costs. I couldn't say that about any other district that I worked at. This district that I work at, they have a clinic just for their employees where you go. All you pay is $10, and any issue that you have whatsoever, it doesn't matter what, like from a cold to a stomach virus to whatever it is, you can go to that clinic and get attended to, and they even do the prescriptions, or doctors on board, on call, and it's a full clinic. And so this is one reason I wouldn't want to leave that place, right? And I can also take my spouse and my child, and it's just an amazing place. My first nephew was born, so I'm an aunt. So I guess the one where I talked about my brother was just the fact that he announced that he was going to have a kid. And then this one is just where the baby was actually born. we are down to the last few. So I experienced for the very first time the effects of pain relieving massage. That massage therapist was a blessing. That was when I went for my spa treatment that I had for my birthday. And she has blessed hands. Like, when I say pain relieving, you know, part of the issue that I had was just tension, a lot of tension and soreness. And oh my gosh, she was amazing. Anyway, I gave a hug to one of my students. She was involved in a fight, or she was about to be involved in a fight. There was a lot of commotion going on in the hallway and all that, and I called her aside. That was after they got separated, because I'm not putting myself in a student fight. And I talked to them individually, and I talked to her, that particular one, because she was really hot-headed. And I gave her a hug, and I said, look, carry yourself like a young queen. You know, you don't need all of that drama. You're a senior. You don't want to risk not graduating and all that. And she said that was the best thing anyone has ever done for her. She felt so stressed and pressured. Not that it was an excuse, but sometimes we ignore that kids also carry a lot. And so I gave her a hug, and I told her it's going to be okay to go ahead and apologize to the girl, and they did. And that just diffused the situation. And on top of that, the principal gave them the least severe punishment. They were not suspended or anything like that, but they had to serve a detention for disrupting classes and disrupting the school. I accomplished some yard work, and I pruned the trees around the house. That took me like probably 3 weekends, but we have a very big yard, just going around the house and pruning, and it felt so good because I felt light, and I felt like I did something positive to just let more light in on my property. I made it to 8,000 subscribers on YouTube in 2019. I know I wasn't as consistent, but that was because I had a very eventful year, and I had a lot of stuff going on just trying to manage a business, but it felt good to actually reach 8,000. Let's see what happens next year. I won free supplies for answering some trivia at work. And when I say free supplies, I'm not talking about the cheap stuff. I'm talking about gel pens and really good highlighters and Sharpies and expo markers and just all the wonderful things a teacher can ask for. Ebony started making complete sentences just about the time where she turned 2. She was talking a little bit better, but somewhere around March, around spring break, she really started making complete sentences. So I was really happy about that, because I felt like now we can actually have conversations, and she has opinions, of course. So more fun, right? My YouTube money started growing. I wouldn't reveal how much I have right now, but it's actually my channel is doing pretty well, and I'm gonna take it a little bit more seriously, because I see the potential in YouTube as supplemental income as well. What else? My mom attended a conference in Louisiana. That's when she came over to Texas after the conference, and it's something that she does yearly. But the reason why I put that in something good that happened, is because I got to see her. Every time she's in the United States, she always comes over to see me, or we always try to meet up. You know, like in 2016, I went to New York because she was over in New York, but we always try to meet up. My student told me I'm the only one who understands him. I don't think so. I think I'm probably one of the few who's really patient with him. He can really test you and really try you, but you know, as a teacher and as a parent, so you really have to be patient with kids. But it was nice to know that he felt that way, and I told him if he continues to try me, then yeah, we'll have some issues. So he behaved pretty well for me. I made 500 sales on Etsy. That is where I sell most of my products. I used to do a lot of farmers markets and so, but I actually stopped now because that's kind of tiring. But Etsy is doing really well, and it felt really good to make 500 sales. I successfully facilitated a workshop, one that I was really nervous about because I felt like I wasn't really competent, but everyone else had the confidence in me. And so I was really happy. It wasn't my first time facilitating a workshop. It was just this particular workshop I was nervous about because I knew who was going to be there, and I knew I was going to be dissected and all that. And so it felt really good to know that the feedback that I got back was really, really encouraging and nice. And I saved $10 on my oil change. As I said, some of these might sound like, okay, why is this in the jar? because it was something good that happened for me that particular week. Anyway, guys, that was my 2019 in a flashback kind of scenario. I would have usually made like a video showing you my year in review. I choose to not do that this year. It was just kind of nice to write on paper and then share that with you. But that's it. So until next time, peace. I wish you guys a happy new year. I really try to commit to bringing you more videos, and let me know what you think. Let me know what was one amazing thing that happened to you in 2019. Share that below. Bye, guys.